Welcome to the Workers' Compensation Assessment Mechanism webinar. My name is Erin Weisgerber, and I am the Budget Analyst for the Employment Relations Division of the Department of Labor and Industry. In this webinar, the Department's goal is to educate stakeholders on the Workers' Compensation Assessment, the functions of the Department, the state budget process, and the assessment calculation. The Montana Department of Labor and Industry's Employment Relations Division is charged with the administration of the Montana Workers' Compensation Act. For the purposes of this presentation, the use of department includes the Employment Relations Division. The Workers' Compensation Assessment has been used since 1973 to fund the administrative and regulatory provisions of the Act. There have been many changes in the assessment over the years. This webinar will provide information about the most recent changes to the assessment in the Montana Legislature during 2015. The changes were requested by the Department and supported by the Labor Management Advisory Council on Workers' Compensation. The changes are necessary because the previous percentage cap did not allow the Department to assess sufficient funding to pay for the statutory provisions in the Act. The bill increased the percentage cap for the administrative assessment percentage from up to 3% to up to 4% of benefits paid to fund the administrative and regulatory functions of the Department, and created a separate safety assessment to fund the safety services currently being provided. The safety assessment percentage is capped at up to 2% of benefits paid. Benefits paid that are used in the calculation are medical benefits plus indemnity benefits, less medical benefits greater than $200,000 on any one claim. In the next two slides, we break out the functions performed by the Department into administrative functions and safety functions. All functions are currently covered under the administrative assessment. Starting in fiscal year 2017, the administrative functions on this slide will be covered by the administrative assessment, and the safety functions on the following slide will be covered under the safety assessment. In addition to these functions, there is a small portion of the assessment that covers work in the Office of Administrative Hearings located in the Centralized Services Division of the Department of Labor and Industry. This work is related to work comp functions in the state. The functions on this slide will be funded with the revenue from the safety assessment starting in fiscal year 2017. Montana has one of the highest injury rates in the nation, and both labor and management agree that preventing injuries by investing in training and promoting safety best practices is important to improving the health and safety of workers, as well as generating cost savings for the employer. The separate safety assessment was created to emphasize the importance of the safety services and draw attention to how safety is essential to improving our injury rate and saving money. The first 7 functions are performed by the Safety Bureau and the Employment Relations Division of the Department of Labor and Industry. The research and analysis state match for the Bureau of Labor Statistics annual survey work is conducted by the Research and Analysis Bureau in the Workforce Services Division of the Department of Labor and Industry. The Department is often asked how we spend our budget, as well as how we develop our budget and how our budget is used in the calculation of the assessment. The most important part of the budget process to understand is that the Department is not allowed to artificially grow our budget or have spending authority that is not approved by the legislature. The budget approval process goes through several steps. We develop 2 fiscal year budgets at a time, with the fiscal year being from June 1st through July 30th. The review process goes through several steps, including DLI management, the Governor's Budget Office, the Legislative Fiscal Division, and ultimately the legislature. There can be changes at any point during this process, and it is the responsibility of the legislative body to present a finalized budget. In addition to a lengthy review process, the budget building process is very structured. A budget consists of 3 primary components. We start with the base budget, which is the ongoing operation of state government. Added to that is the statewide present law adjustments, which include pay raises, position cuts, and changes in fixed costs. The final piece of the budget building structure are change packages, which are any additional requests to increase or decrease the budget. These are looked at separately from the budget and can be approved or not approved by the legislature. An example of a change package is a rent increase or a statutory change that requires a change in funding. The budget process is important to the assessment mechanism because the amount we can assess to Montana employers is the legislatively approved budget up to the percentage cap on paid benefits. From 2009 to 2015, the department was unable to collect the full legislatively authorized budget due to the 3% cap in statute. Senate Bill 259 increased the cap to 4%, and the department was able to assess the full budget for fiscal year 2016. In addition to questions about the budget development, the department is also approached by stakeholders concerned about unnecessary spending. We understand this concern, so we track our spending with the Consumer Price Index. From fiscal year 2004 to fiscal year 2014, the expenditures from the Work Comp Fund have tracked relatively closely with CPI. In fiscal year 2010, there was a spike in the Work Comp expenditures that was due to the legislature authorizing $1 million in one-time-only money for WorkSafe MT. After this point, the Work Comp expenditures fell below the CPI for a few years and have continued to stay on mark since that time. From fiscal year 2004 to fiscal year 2014, the total expenditures from the Work Comp Fund were less than $200,000 more than CPI when adjusting for the $1 million one-time-only money to WorkSafe MT. Despite having additional functions mandated by legislative changes, the department continues to operate within a budget that has increased with CPI growth for the past 10 fiscal years. The fiscal year 2016 assessment and surcharge rate were calculated based on a $7.3 million budget and approximately $208.8 million in paid benefits available for assessment. These benefits include benefits paid on behalf of all employers in Montana, regardless of whether they were self-insured, insured by a private insurance company, or insured by the Montana State Fund. The assessment rate for fiscal year 2016 is 3.5048%, which converts to a 1.9775% surcharge rate. The reason there is a difference between the assessment rate and surcharge rate is because a rate must be developed for employers in Plan 2, private insurance, and Plan 3, the Montana State Fund, who are charged a premium. The assessment is based on paid benefits, but in order to pass that cost to employers who pay a premium, that assessment has to be converted to a percentage on their premium. With the passage of Senate Bill 259 and the creation of a separate safety assessment, there has been concern that this will increase the assessment paid by employers. To help alleviate that concern, we have broken down the administrative and safety assessments and what they would have been in fiscal year 2016 if there had been two assessment rates. There will not be an increase due to the split of the assessments. Rather, the current administrative assessment will be reduced by the safety assessment. Starting in fiscal year 2017, July 1st of 2016, employers will be seeing two assessment rates or surcharge rates on their bills. There are several components to the actual assessment calculation. The first component analyzed is the legislatively authorized budget. The second piece of the puzzle is the paid benefits available for assessment. These amounts are reported to the department by all insurers, including self-insured employers, on a quarterly basis. The third component is total premium earned by Plan 2 and Plan 3 insurers. The department collects this data from insurers on a quarterly basis, but the actual premium that we are required to use is the assessment calculation is the premium reported to the insurance commissioner for Plan 2 insurers and the department for Plan 3, the Montana State Fund. The department attempts to reconcile any differences with Plan 2 insurers on an annual basis. Finally, we review the amount of the assessment and surcharge collected in the previous fiscal year and compare it to the amount we calculated in that same fiscal year. In earlier slides, we broke down the functions covered under the assessment. Here we have broken down the budget for each area for fiscal year 2016. The budget for all the Employment Relations Division functions, excluding safety, is approximately $4.5 million. The Work Comp Court budget is $711,000. The Hearings Bureau receives approximately $6,700 of the current assessment, and the safety functions performed by the department has a budget of approximately $1.9 million. The Research and Analysis Bureau receives approximately $113,000. The total fiscal year 2016 budget for the Work Comp Fund is $7.3 million. This slide shows a further breakout of the fiscal year 2016 budget by outlining the planned Safety Bureau expenditures. The Public Employer Compliance Unit has a $493,000 budget for fiscal year 2016. The private and public consultation unit will receive approximately $427,000 of the assessment funds. In addition to the assessment funds, they also receive $452,700 in federal grant money for private consultation work. The mine inspection and training area has a budget of approximately $445,000 in fiscal year 2016. In the past, the department has received some federal grant money to help with mine training. However, the amount of that grant changes from year to year. The education and outreach portion of the safety budget is around $384,000, while the Safety Fest budget is $186,000. In 2017, the research and analysis portion of the budget will be added to the safety budget for the purposes of the safety assessment. Most people believe that the budget is what drives the assessment rate, and while it is an important component, the paid benefits available for assessment have a huge impact on the assessment rate and are a large reason the department has been unable to collect the legislatively authorized budget in the past several years. This graph shows how the paid benefits have changed over the last 16 years. Since fiscal year 2011, the paid benefits have been decreasing. For the fiscal year 2016 assessment, the paid benefits were less than what was available for the fiscal year 2007 assessment. Based on past trends and current calendar year 2015 data, it is projected that paid benefits will decline further. This slide gives an illustration of how the assessment rate is affected by paid benefits. The first assessment rate listed above is the current fiscal year 2016 assessment rate, based on the legislatively authorized budget and benefits available for assessment. The second and third assessment rates show what happened if the paid benefits were to decrease or increase while the budget remains the same. As the paid benefits decrease, the assessment rate must increase in order to collect the same amount of money. As paid benefits increase, the assessment rate decreases in order to collect the same amount of money. Just as we previously demonstrated how the assessment rate is affected by the paid benefits available for assessment, the surcharge rate for Plan 2 and Plan 3 employers is similarly affected by the total premium across the system. The first listed surcharge rate above is the current rate for fiscal year 2016 based on the legislatively authorized budget and premium totals for calendar year 2014. The second and third rates above show what happens if the total premium across the system changes while the authorized budget remains the same. If the total earned premium in Montana increases, the surcharge rate decreases. If the total earned premium decreases, the surcharge rate increases. After all the data is analyzed and recorded, it is time to start the actual assessment calculation. For fiscal year 2016, the department budget of $7.3 million is 3.5048% of the total benefits available for assessment. This percentage then equals the assessment that employers must pay to the department to provide the statutorily required functions of the Work Comp Act. This slide shows the assessment broken down by plan. The amount of the budget assessed to each plan is the percentage of benefits paid that the plan is responsible for across the Montana Work Comp system. The current assessment methodology most equitably distributes the assessment across all plans by basing their portion of the budget on the percentage of their paid benefits. Plan 1 employers are responsible for 17% of the paid work comp benefits in Montana and are therefore responsible for 17%, or in fiscal year 2016, $1.2 million of the fiscal year 16 budget. Each Plan 1 employer is sent an assessment bill that represents 3.5048% of their individual paid benefits. The same is true of the Plan 3 Old Fund. In fiscal year 2016, the Old Fund was responsible for 2% of the paid benefits and thus is responsible for 2% or $131,000 of the department's budget. As mentioned earlier, when we apply the assessment rate to Plan 2 and Plan 3 employers, we must convert that rate to a surcharge rate that is applied to the premium they pay to their insurer. Statute requires that all Plan 2 and Plan 3 employers must be charged the same rate, and it is applied to the premium they pay to their insurer. Plan 2 and Plan 3 employers account for 81% of paid benefits, thus 81% of the overall budget. The budget amount for Plan 2 and Plan 3 employers is then adjusted for the prior year over-collection or under-collection. The total amount after adjustments is then divided by the total premium in the previous year to determine the surcharge rate. Anytime an employer pays premium during fiscal year 2016, that premium will be multiplied by 1.9775%. For example, when an employer pays $10,000 in premium, they would pay an additional $197.75. That amount is paid by the employer to the insurance carrier, and in turn, the insurance carrier pays that amount to the department on a quarterly basis. In fiscal year 2016, with the passage of Senate Bill 259, the department was able to collect the fully authorized budget needed to perform the statutory functions. To summarize, each year the department is tasked to conduct an assessment that is based on a methodology determined by the Montana legislature. While this methodology can be cumbersome and confusing, its basis on paid benefits most equitably distributes the assessment across all plans and employers. The department's budget must be authorized every 2 years by the Montana legislature and undergoes rigorous analysis and review prior to being approved. The assessment and surcharge rates are affected by total benefits paid, premium earned by insurance carriers, the amount of assessment collected in the prior year, as well as the budget. Due to the effect of paid benefits on the assessment rate, if total benefits continue to decline, the increased cap of up to 4% in Senate Bill 259 may not remain sufficient to cover expenditures, even if those expenditures remain static. Our goal with this presentation is to help stakeholders better understand the assessment process, what affects the assessment rates, and how it is calculated. We will continue to work with stakeholders and the public in an effort to provide efficient, cost-effective, and quality services authorized by law. If you have any questions about this presentation or would like more detailed information, please feel free to contact me.